Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we are revisiting a game that is currently on Kickstarter called Sirens.
Yes, this game is designed by Art Casey and is published by Envy Born Games, who helped sponsor this video. Now, we are returning to Sirens because Monique and I have discovered that we have made some boo-boos in our previous video. So we wanted to come back and correct it. It is such a short, light game that we wanted to make sure that we played a proper round.
Yes, we actually put out a playthrough video of this card game about 2 days ago, and we realized that we made some grand errors in terms of scoring. And like Naveen was mentioning, this is such a fast card game that we really wanted to be able to present the game properly. And so if you're not familiar with the game, this is actually one of 3 games that are part of what's called the Tiny Game series, all of which are under the same Kickstarter published by Envy Born Games. And so today, we're going to be showcasing what one round of the game looks like. If you'd like to see the flow of a full playthrough, we've left the other video actually unlisted, and so you can still take a look at it and just ignore everything that we talked about when it comes to scoring.
So that video that Monique is talking about is linked in the description down below, as well as the Kickstarter campaign, which you can check out at your own leisure. Lastly, if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more in the future, please consider subscribing.
Otherwise, let's get started. So if you'd please direct your attention to the center of the table, we're all set up here for a 2-player game of Sirens. Welcome to the ocean floor. So we are missing a few of our components, namely the deck of ship cards, but we first wanted to start out by showing you an example of what scoring looks like. And so if you're not familiar with this game, this is a card drafting game in which we are going to be building out our own 6-card song. At the end of the round, my song might look something like this. Now, there are a lot of aspects to the cards that we're going to be taking into consideration as we draft the cards for our song. And so when it comes to scoring, there are actually 4 different parameters that we're going to score in this order. The first thing we score are the hearts that are actually found at the top of each card. And so that's actually going to determine who scores their song first. In this example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hearts. And so the amount of points that you earn is actually dependent on how many hearts your opponent has as well. And so whoever has the most hearts is just going to score the difference between the two.
Right, so if I had 4 and Monique had 6, she would score 2 points.
Exactly. Next, you would score what are called the parts. And this is one of the grand errors that we made in our original video. So a part is defined as one or more adjacent cards of the same color. And the colors on the cards are the icon that's to the left of the card, as well as the card color at the top. Now, the way that parts score is you take the number of cards in that part and you square it. And so in this example, I have 2 green cards, which are potentially going to be 4 points. But the other error that we made is with these wild cards. So there are only 2 wild cards in the deck, and they actually thematically represent Scylla and Charybdis, if you're familiar with Greek mythology. When you go to score your song, you actually have to assign a color to the wild card. It does not act as just a large wild. And the color that you assign to it is going to stand for both the color of the card as well as the flow icon. So if I wanted to make this card green, then it would be a 3-card part scoring 9 points. Now, the big kicker when scoring parts is you have to have at least 3 parts total in your entire song in order to score anything. So if I don't have at least 3, then for that scoring criteria, I will score 0 points. Now, fortunately, I do have 3 parts because there are the 3 green cards here that make up 1 part. I have 2 yellow that make up the second part, and then this single blue actually counts as its own part. So I would score a total of 3 times 3, which is 9, 2 times 2, which is 4, and then 1 times 1, which is 1, for a total of 14. And from here on out, I believe everything else we scored was correct. So if you have both wild cards in the same part, and so that's important because we've defined what a part is, then you score an additional 3 points. And once we're done scoring parts, then we score the flow. And so the flow has to do with these arrows, and these arrows want a certain color following into the next adjacent card. So in this example, this green arrow wants this card to be a green card, which it's not, clearly. But for each arrow in your whole song that is correct, you score exponential scoring. So the first one is worth 1 point, the second one is worth 2 points, etc. And so had I designated this a blue card, then that would have been perfect because blue wants to go into blue, and then the arrow would also be blue going into another blue card. But because in my previous example, I designated this as a green card, then that does not score that way. And so my total for this example would just be 1 point for this correct flow arrow. And finally, we have the charms scoring. And charms has to do with these half symbols on the cards. You need to have 2 of the matching halves in order for you to score points. So this would not score, but this would. And you score the Roman numeral number that's next to it, which in this case would be 3 points. And that's essentially it for scoring. At that point, whoever has the most points would win that round. And just like we did in the last playthrough, it's going to be the first player to win 2 rounds is going to be the winner. So let's go ahead and demonstrate what a full round looks like.
Sure. Okay, we have shuffled a deck of 18 cards. We are going to get started with our round.
All right. The first thing that happens in this game, each round, is you're actually going to draw the top card of the ship deck. And you're going to have a universal rule that everyone must abide by just for this round. And so on the card, all we care about is this tiny symbol at the very bottom of the card. We're going to ignore everything else. And that symbol is actually on this side of the cheat sheet here at the very top, which says for this round, only groups of hearts score.
Okay.
So if you want to score for the hearts criteria, you need to have all of your hearts sort of an adjacent group.
Aligned.
Then each player gets a hand of 4 cards because we are going to start with our first round of drafting. This is a standard draft in the sense that you are going to choose 1 card from your hand, put it face down in front of you, pass the other 3 to your opponent, and keep on going until each player has drafted 3 cards total. So the last card gets discarded. And by the way, because we didn't mention this earlier, and this might be the first time you're hearing about this game, this is a 1 to 2 player game only. So there's only enough cards in that deck for up to 2 players max. All right, ready?
Yes.
All right, I'm taking this
one?
card.
Yep.
So there you go.
What do we got?
Second card.
What have you given me? Okay, I am ready. Do you have yours?
Yes.
All
All right. I am forgetting to try to remember what was in the previous hand. Ready?
I am ready, yes.
All
this
right.
one.
All right, and then the final card gets discarded back to the top of the ship deck.
Okay.
And we are now going to build the first half of our song called The Root. So at this point, I'm going to place all my cards at the bottom here, and Naveen will place on top.
Yep.
You're going to place your cards adjacent to each other, and once you've decided, you cannot rearrange them. Keeping in mind our universal rule that says our hearts need to be in a contiguous group.
Aligned.
Yes. All right. Now we move on to our second phase of drafting. So let's go ahead and shuffle this.
Sure. Okay, again, each player is going to get 4 cards, and we are going to keep 3 in the end.
Yes. And we are going to be building our progression now.
All right.
So, ready?
I'm ready, yep.
Okay.
Keep
Here's
that one. That one goes to you.
Pass.
I am ready for your.
All right. I'll
there
take
you go.
that one.
Okay,
And then
last
final
card.
card.
Which did you leave me?
All right. Ready?
Yep, keeping this
Okay.
one.
Final card and then discard the
Okay.
last one.
Very good.
So with these last 3 cards, you're going to place them on either side of your root. So you do not get to break this up, but you do get to decide what arrangement of cards to put on either side.
Okay.
So I'm going to do something like this. I hope this works. I'm just going to kind of move it over
Center
a little
it up.
bit. So that's me.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to do something like this.
Okay.
Let's just go ahead and center that up. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm liking it.
All right. That is it. These are our final songs for the round. Let's go ahead and score them correctly this time.
Yes, the right way.
So, who has more hearts? And again, they have to be in one contiguous group. So my group is over here for a total of 3.
Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
gosh.
6, 7, 8.
Okay.
So 8 minus 3, I get 5.
Yes. And now Naveen actually scores his song first because he had more hearts.
I did. So we are going to go into the parts section. So this we will not make a mistake on. So the way I see it is I must have at least 3 unique parts in order to score it.
Right.
So I definitely do. So I have,
Well, what are you going to assign this, Wild?
I'm assigning this a green.
Okay.
Okay, so then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 green.
Uh-huh.
I have 1 blue and 1 red. So meaning
Okay.
this is all 1 part, 1 part, 1 part.
Yes, because your part can be 1 card in size.
So one big intro, a small little chorus, and a small little outro.
Okay.
There you go.
So 16. This is going to be 1 times 1. 17 is another 1 point. So a total of 18.
So that
So-
becomes 5 plus 18 is 23. And
my
again,
goodness.
this is 16 because this is 4 times 4, so
Yes.
4 squared.
Correct.
Next, we're going to look at the flow of the song. So we are looking for arrows that go into the same or like type color.
Yes.
So this has been designated a green. So no, yes, so that's
This
1.
is green arrow goes into green color
Correct.
card.
Blue into blue, that's 2.
Uh-huh.
And red into red, that's 3. So that's going to score 6 points total.
Yes.
1 for the first, 2 for the 2nd, and 3 for the third.
Yes.
So an additional 6 on the 23 becomes 29.
Right. And if you notice, Scylla and Charybdis ended up on 2 separate songs, so nobody gets a +3 for having both of these in the same part.
Yep. And the last thing I need to score are my charms. So I have a bunch of fragments, but I was able to put together this one right over here. So I have two matching. It's going to be worth 2 points because of the Roman numerals. So my final score on this song is 31.
Nice.
I think I did a pretty good job.
That's a good score. This is a naturally played round.
Yeah.
So I think even with the proper scoring, Naveen might be better at this game than me. So let me score mine. We already know my heart scoring is going to be 0. And so I'm going to score my parts. I'm going to designate this wild as yellow. So both of these will be yellow, which means I have a blue, a red, and then 1, 2, 3 yellow, and then a green. So 3 times 3 is 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay.
Right?
So you're on the board for 12.
And so I have 4. It looks like that. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 parts total, which means
more dynamic.
I'm good. Yeah, super dynamic. Next we have the flow. So red arrow into red card, yellow arrow into yellow card. That's
what
2.
you designated it. Yep.
Yes, another yellow arrow into another yellow card.
3.
So 3. This one no, but green into green. So that's 4.
Okay.
So that's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4.
It's 10 points.
10 points.
So you're at 22. That's pretty good.
And the last thing are my charms, and I just have this one complete charm here for another 3 points. So 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
That's it. So the scores for this round are me with 25 to Naveen with 31.
Right. So after that, I would collect the card that was the universal rule, flip it over to its ship side, and
the sailor side.
The sailor side, and me as a siren, I have lured them with my beautiful intro music. And so now I have a permanent heart going into the next round.
Yes.
First person to score 2 of these sailors wins.
Correct. And in the case of a tie, nobody wins the sailor. So that is essentially how you play a full round of this with the correct way of scoring, I hope, now. Like we were mentioning earlier, we still left the other video up. It's just unlisted so that people can no longer find it. But if you're curious to know how other universal rules play, we did showcase 3 different ones in that video. But also the flow of the gameplay was correct. But if you have any questions about anything that you saw here today, please feel free to leave us a comment down below and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Well, thank you all so much for watching the video. We hope it was helpful. If you're interested in this game, there is a link to the campaign down in the description below. And if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.